Hello everybody. Today we're doing our trade recap. Okay. I didn't get to it yesterday, so I'm going to recap from Monday, January 26th, 2026, and I'm going to recap today, Tuesday, January 27th, 2026. Okay. So, back to yesterday. We had this fair value gap. This strategy is still new to me, okay? I'm still figuring out the little nuances on whether something works or not. So here, let's take a look. This was yesterday. This was the last fair value gap we made, and we had inversed it and gone way past it. Still looking for bearish fair value gaps. I'm not sure if I should still trade on a day like this. We don't really know, but from what happened, you can see it made a bearish 5-minute fair value gap. We made our inverse entry and it failed. We lost. It got to here, but it didn't close past it, and we lost. So that was that day, yesterday. Happened pretty quick. Not much to say about that except I think once the 1 hour we're using, once we get past it, like pretty far, we're not really in it or close to it anymore, and we inverse it, we should probably stop using it and wait till we hit a new 1 hour. Because past that, there's nothing that we could have reacted off of. Yep, so loss, $500 loss. I scaled down the risk on my eval that day because all I needed left was $500. So I was risking the same as my funded, and so we only lost 500 instead of a typical 1,000. But since we took that loss yesterday, now we're moving on to today. I risked 1,000 today on my eval and normal on my funded. Swept pretty much equal London lows. They were equal lows for London. Support with a 4 hour. We just waited for that displacement. And then we traded into the displacement here. So traded into it, made a pretty consistent model, made a 1 minute and a 2 minute inversion, and we entered here. And the target was the relative equal highs. Now, the day's still going. It's about 2:40. Day's still going, but I think the move is kind of ended now. We used our trailing stop method. So once it hit an intermediate term high, I would move the stop up to an intermediate term low. And we ended up, stopping out at around $200 loss on the funded and a $500 loss on the eval. So we lost not that much. It wasn't a bad day. Actually, no. You know what? That wasn't where I got stopped. That would have been like a $100 loss. I had my stop here for a while, which was a $300 loss, and I moved it to here because this intermediate term high got closed above, which means this intermediate term low was where our stop went. So this is actually where I got stopped. I probably could have left it here. The reason why I moved it down more was because this technically, the way I viewed it in the past, this intermediate term high shares price structure with the low that I'm moving the stop to. And so the goal is you kind of want to have separate, you want to make sure that they're not integrated together. I've found that in the past, when you move your stop to one that shares, shares price structure, it'll tend to stop you out, which it did, but it stopped me out anyway, wherever I moved my trailing stop. If I didn't move my trailing stop, it may work. I don't know yet. The day is not over, but it seems to be back in accumulation. If we were using my old strategy, hold on. I don't think I've really gone over this. This would have been an entry here. I'm gonna hide this for us really quick. This would have been our entry. Stop loss would have gone probably down here. We would have aimed for a 2-to-1, which is like way past where it should be, but we would be a little above break even right now. But to be honest, we probably would have been stopped out because the trailing stop method still applies to that too. But the reason why I didn't post yesterday was because I have been backtesting the hell out of this strategy, this new strategy. I've been, literally yesterday, we had the ice storm, so a lot of places were closed. I didn't get a chance to go to the gym. The gym was closed. Yeah, a lot of places were closed, so I was just like, you know what? Today's a good excuse to backtest and learn this strategy all day. And so here, let's take a look. I just finished the week of backtesting. A week of backtesting in December. It's already up 4%. But I went back through past months with my now refined strategy. And kind of reviewed everything to make sure that the strategy I was trading was consistent. And I found that a lot of the profit I was getting from those previous months, the strategy really wasn't, the entry model and the means for the entry weren't really specific. Like I was trading a bunch of different scenarios and calling it according to my strategy. Like saying like, it wasn't specific enough. Let me just say that. It was really broad. And when you have broad explanations for a strategy, if you have broad criteria, then you're gonna be confused. You're gonna get confused, and there are gonna be days where you make mistakes because you're confused on what to do. And so what I went back and did was I went back and I looked at all of the pictures and the trades I took and recategorized them and reorganized them so that it was uniform. Like I looked at the pictures and said, okay, this specific pattern showed up that I'm using currently, because it kind of evolved. The more I used it, the more I learned about it. So I'm taking pretty much the knowledge I know now from September, October, November, and December, and applying it to when I first started learning the strategy. And you know what? You know what I did learn and watch? I have the wrong impression, or I had the wrong impression of a market structure shift. And I guess we can go over this. I'm going to try and find an example of it. Here we go. Here's a good example. Wait, no, hold on. I'm going to try and find an example of it. Here we go. Okay. This bit of price structure right here, okay? My old impression of a market structure shift, this is a bullish candle right here, was that this was a market structure shift, where this bullish candle signified the shift. And when you closed above that bullish candle, that is what indicates a market structure shift. But honestly, the idea just popped into my head because I was thinking about all of the trading videos I've been watching and the examples of trades that go through of models that use inverse fair value gaps. I'm like, why are they using inverse fair value gaps past the market structure shift like this? Like, why would they use the gaps past that leg? And then I'm like, okay, hold on. Is my idea of a market structure shift even true? And I go back, search up basic market structure shift video. And I realize in the name, before the video, I realize in the name, market structure, okay? Same thing with my realization with intermediate term highs and short-term highs. That is market structure. That is a lower low, or a higher low, lower low, or yeah, higher low, lower low, higher low. That is a short-term low. And so why would market structure shift be determined by just the color of the candle? And I realized after I watched this video, market structure shift is actually up here. It's actually up here. Because that is the last short-term high. There is no short-term highs in this entire leg right here. There's none. And so this fair value gap being inverse would be valid as an entry. I mean, not in this context, but like if this was in the right place and this, pattern showed up, that could be used as an entry model. Instead of this is a market structure shift, I wouldn't consider this valid in the past because there's no inverse on that tiny little leg. But now I've realized this entire leg here is that manipulation leg in the market structure shift model. So if I were taking an entry here, this would be the entry after this inversion. That would be the entry. Because, probably not actually. There's probably, the 2 minute provides us an entry that's sooner. So that would be my entry probably. But completely, I've been doing this for at least 3 years now. 2023, yeah. I've been trading for 3 years, okay? And my idea of a market structure shift has been the same for 3 years. That is what I thought a market structure shift was. And I have been trading like that, live trading, back testing strategies with that in mind, that entry. I have been doing it wrong for 3 years. I thought I was doing it right. So all of the strategies I've tested in the past could potentially be profitable if I had the right idea of a market structure shift. But I just didn't know. So now I know. And now I'm applying it to my current strategy. I'm curious to see if it improves my old strategy. But to be honest, I don't really want to test it. This seems to have a higher win rate anyway, and it's still a fact that higher win rate strategies are 100% better for prop firms because you're in significantly less drawdown, especially with the trailing stops. It just doesn't make any sense to have a super low win rate strategy when using prop firms. And so if I can get a higher win rate with this using, proper market structure shifts, I'll just do that. But anyway, let's go back to this day. It was pretty straightforward, to be honest. Now with this entry, it was it was kind of late, to be honest. Like, we had already moved a ton. I was still following the rules, so like I'm not, pressed. Didn't have any FOMO or anything. But like, I feel like on a day like this, we can have a sooner entry, because this is like textbook, man. This is perfect. Like a 5-minute inverse entry or something here. Like if we had taken an entry off of just simply this, we would have been chilling, Major low taken, support from a 1 hour and a 4 hour, 5-minute inversion, just boom. That would have been fine. But yeah, I'm still experimenting, still researching, and I think I'm hot on the tail with this strategy. And that's kind of why I've been backtesting. I have so many other things I could be doing. I run a different YouTube channel. I run a different business. I've got school. I have so many other things I could be doing. But instead I'm backtesting. I'm just backtesting because I'm eager to figure this out and get the specifics of this model down. And so yesterday I also reviewed all of the past months and the different notes I've taken on the past months of backtesting, just to see what works and what doesn't, and what type of entry is the best, what if we can enter on a re-sweep of the low. Is there any extra criteria? Do we need to wait for things? What happens when we go past the fair value, way past the fair value gap, and we inverse it? Do we still, does that bias still hold true? Just stuff like that. Little nuances. I'm trying to figure that out by just backtesting as much as possible, taking as many notes as possible, because obviously I'm in these funded accounts. It'd be a little different if I wasn't. I'd probably take my time a little more, but I'm in these funded accounts and I'm still using a strategy I don't know everything about. I'm still figuring out some of it. Like the trade I took yesterday probably could have been avoided if I had known that is most likely not going to work out. And I've noticed most of the time with this strategy, just the new sweep, having that new gap there instead of focusing on old gaps almost always works. You want to have a fresh reaction. This day didn't work, which is, that sucks, but it is what it is. You know what? Maybe I just thought of this. Perhaps we could take trades only in discount. Like, for example, this trade today wouldn't count because we were way up in premium. Actually, premium probably would have been, at the time, open, low, high, close. Yeah, premium would have been, yeah, we would have been way up in premium. Discount would have been down here. So maybe that's something also we need to consider is, where are we, premium and discount? Why isn't that something I can add to my backtesting? See, all to refine the strategy. So that's what I've been doing the past million hours, bazillion, gazillion. It's literally like a video game to me, and I'm not going to stop until I refine the hell out of this strategy. That's what it takes. Anyway, yeah, if you want to see me win and do this, subscribe, follow me, because I'm so delusional, I'm not going to stop. I'll see you tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, the next day.